What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Division's End podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We got another solo episode today. I'm just not feeling the guest conversations, to be honest. I think we'll start having some of the people that are actually in our industry, like attorneys and influencers and, people that are actually relevant in the kind of the influencer marketing and brand space. But to be honest, I've been enjoying these solo podcasts quite a bit. And a lot of you guys have been hitting me up and saying that they've been very informative. So I think we'll just keep fucking running these until we figure it out. But I think Mike Malak, George Janko, potentially Lana Rhodes will be coming on hopefully soon. My assistant Dominique will work her magic, I'm sure. But yeah, we'll make some of that stuff happen. But what I really wanted to chat about with you guys in this episode is about how I started Division Media, because a lot of you guys have been hitting me up and talking about, influencer marketing is like super cool. Like, how do I get in it? Or like, if I don't want to be an influencer, but I want to be a broker of brand deals or a talent agent, like how exactly do I get started? So I thought I'd do a quick 25 minute podcast about kind of like how we started Division Media, kind of the growth that we've experienced from November 2019 until now, January 2022, and kind of the process of what it's kind of looked like. So for context, for those of you guys who don't know, actually, before we get into it, make sure you guys subscribe, smash the like button. If you could leave a review on the podcast, it's super helpful. And yeah, anyway, so we started, for those of you guys who don't know, we started Division Media 2019 in November. And it was kind of crazy how it all kind of started. It was a very kind of organic, process. So I started managing a big YouTuber by the name of Human Nouri, who is actually, he's got 10.5 million subscribers, biggest prankster in the world. Started the shampoo pranks, the gold digger pranks on YouTube, and literally was like the OG prankster. And he became a friend of mine, and he was like, yo, I've been looking for a manager. Would you do it? And I was like, fuck it, let's go. And I'd obviously never been a manager. I was working in the music industry at Capitol Records, and then I was at Interscope Records. And I was like, fuck it, we'll give it a shot. So I started working with him, super cool guy. And I started taking him to events, managing his schedule, bringing him brand deals. Our first brand deal that we did was with Manscaped, which big shout to the team at Manscaped, is now one of our biggest clients. And when I got him that brand deal, something kind of clicked, and I was like, there's a whole arena here of brands spending money with influencers, and I always knew that the way, or the medium of where where brands were going to be spending was going to shift from the the old TV banner ads, Super Bowl ads, all that bullshit, to this whole new wave of YouTubers, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, etc. So I talked to Human, and I was like, yo, bro, I don't think this management thing is really for me. I don't really want to be a quote unquote babysitter. Because at the end of the day, that's what management is. You're figuring out what the fuck your talent is doing every day. And it's kind of like, you're babysitting. So I was like, I don't really want to do this. So I ended up starting a little agency, and it was called something random at the time, but I started just sourcing brand deals for Human. And I think we did Manscaped, My Bookie, big sports betting company. And then we kind of just, the ball kind of just started rolling. So that kind of happened. And then I was working in real estate at the time as well, flipping houses, buying and selling property. And I remember when COVID hit, I started listening to the Impulsive podcast. And at the time, I didn't even know who, really Logan Paul or Mike Malak or George, or any of these guys were. But I was just kind of looking for an entertainment, sort of something for entertainment kind of in my free time. And something kind of clicked, initially when I started hearing about Mike Malak, who, those guys who don't know, he's the author of The Fifth Vital, Logan's co-host of Impulsive. He's got the Night Shift, so he's got a lot of internet presence. But he's dating the biggest or most notorious porn star in the world, Lana Rhodes. And I was like, this guy's probably got a massive male audience, and he's dating this girl, or this woman, Lana Rhodes, who is one of the biggest, or previously was one of the biggest adult film stars. So I was like, it would only make sense if he has some sort of deal in the sex arena. You know what I mean? So I started doing research, and I hit up a company called Blue Chew, which makes these erectile dysfunction pills. And I hit them up, I emailed them, and I pretended to be Mike's agent. And I was like, yo, I represent this guy, Mike, who, by the way, at the time, I didn't even know who the fuck he was. And I was like, yo, he's got Lana Rhodes, he's got this presence on Logan's podcast, it would only make sense for you guys to work with him. And I think within 10 minutes, they hit me back, and they were like, yo, let's do a deal. They put up a large offer. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do I do now? Right. So I just kind of figured it out, and I hit up Mike on Instagram, shot him a DM, shot him an email, and he called me in like it was like 20 minutes after the email. And he was like, bro, I love Blue Chew. I fucking use this shit all the time. Like, let's run it up. And he had no idea who I was. So ended up brokering what has now been I think 12 or 13 month partnership, or actually longer than that at this point, which has actually become one of the most notorious like YouTube partnerships, because everyone knows about Mike. And when you think about Blue Chew, immediately your mind thinks your mind goes to Mike Malak. So it's kind of crazy how it started, but that's kind of how the whole business was formed. You know, what started with Human, and then we kind of jumped into the Blue Chew and Mike partnership. And from there, I kind of just realized that there was this huge untapped market of influencer marketing. And even before this, I had tried to get jobs at United Talent Agency, Paradigm, CAA after graduating from USC, which is one of the best music industry programs. And for some reason, I couldn't get a job at any of these agencies. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to start my own. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to waste time, and I didn't want to work in music because I was making like maybe 30, 40 grand a year. So I ended up, changing the name to Division Media, and I kind of just started leveraging the contact with Mike, and he really just began putting me in touch with everybody, from FaZe Banks to Aiden Ross, Steve Will Do It. And so I had this huge, massive influencer network here in LA, and I was like, okay, so I've got the influencers, who charge a lot of money from brands. And obviously, that's the missing piece, or was the next step, was how do I develop a roster of brands that are actively spending with my agency every month. So immediately, having started businesses in the past and learning over time that the most important thing in any business is the team that you have, my mind immediately went to, let's just start hiring people. So in, I think it was mid 2020, we went from 0 employees to, in April of 2021 to September of 2021, we grew from $0 to being a 7-figure agency, and had 21 employees, and we started working with all the brands under the sun. I mean, Dr. Squatch, Dollar Shave Club, Manscaped, Too Faced Cosmetics, Opali, like literally any brand you can think of on YouTube, we started working with. And the only way I was able to do this was because I built a team of kind of like, I like to call them the brand army. Like it's just been a massive team of extremely talented and successful, almost just sales reps, really, like people that are hitting up brands on LinkedIn. People are, getting in contact with the influencer marketing managers, the growth marketing managers, having the conversations. And, we've just built this like massive network of talent that we're able to now pitch out to the brands. And a lot of you guys hit me up and say, yo, like, I see all these deals you're doing with Logan Paul and Jake Paul and Mike, like, are you their agent? Like, do you manage them? Like, what's the deal? And I get the question of like, is it like an exclusive relationship? And kind of the beautiful thing about this space is you almost don't want to sign talent exclusively, right? Like, it's different. And I know a lot of people will say that's not true, but if you do sign a talent exclusively, there becomes that like constant, need to bring them deals. Whereas, instead of having 1 or 2 exclusive talents, you could be working with thousands of influencers, which is what we're doing. And you can non-exclusively bring them deals from any brand in the world. And let's be honest, if you bring $1 million deal for XYZ influencer and you're not their exclusive rep, or rather, if there's an 8-year-old down the street that brings $1 million deal for a talent, like let's say Logan Paul, he's not going to not consider the deal because the person's an 8-year-old. You know what I mean? And I like to use that as kind of like an analogy of like, you don't need to have exclusive representation deals with these creators. You could literally just have non-exclusive talent agreements and bring in deals and take a commission. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what we do at Division Media. It's almost a brokerage firm of influencer marketing deals, where we basically facilitate the partnerships between the brands and the talent. And basically, we take a commission and we make sure that the content goes live on time. But I guess that's another thing, is kind of breaking down like what it means to be, or what a partnership really is, right? So a good example is we did the FaZe Banks and MyBookie partnership, which is MyBookie is a very large sports betting platform. FaZe Banks is obviously the founder of the FaZe Clan. And basically how it works from kind of step 1 to step, or like A to Z, right, is you build the relationship with the brand. So platforms like LinkedIn, even on Instagram, you can find the brand's emails. You get in contact with the right people at the brands. So a lot of times it's the media buyer, a lot of times it's the growth marketing manager, the influencer marketing manager. Um, it could be, just influencer partnerships the influencer partnerships rep. You basically hit these people up, and once you've built up a little network of talent, you can send it to them. So, for FaZe Banks particularly, we got in contact with my bookie, brought them FaZe Banks, and basically just kind of navigated the partnership. So discussed things like deliverables, right? Like, what is FaZe Banks delivering for the brand? What does usage look like? So in terms of usage, I'm speaking of, my bookie using his content for whether it's paid media or organic socials or whatever it is. You have to look at terms like exclusivity, someone like FaZe Banks, he's not going to want to promote multiple different sports books at a time because it makes him look bad. It makes the sports book look bad. So you have to kind of negotiate those terms as well. And then you kind of, land on a price, land on a term of the contract. And once both of the parties are in agreement, you basically put together the contract, get it signed by both parties, and then you kind of move on into the partnership in terms of like the actual execution. And that's where our agency also does a lot, is we're actually basically like the point of contact for the brand. Because as a brand, you don't want, if you're working with 100 influencers, you don't want to be working with 100 different reps. It's just like a lot, right? Unless you have like a whole in-house influencer marketing team. So that's what we've become for these brands, is like a one-stop shop where they can, if they want to contract 100 different influencers, they can do it all through us, but then they'll only be talking to me or only be talking to, Dominique or Lulu or whoever from my team. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for brokerage or brokering brand deals and also activating the talent. And it also, another big part of the space is the campaign management. So making sure that, the creators have the briefs, making sure the content goes live on time, making sure that the creators are doing everything that they're supposed to. They're hitting all the compliance, the various compliance requirements that the brands have. So there's quite a bit that goes into it. It's definitely not an easy business, but what I can say is if you have a really solid team, I mean, you can really make a lot of money in the influencer marketing space. So yeah, that's kind of what we do at Division Media. I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, of course, hit me up. But yeah, it's just like there's just so much money in this space, and especially as we're seeing influencer marketing budgets significantly increase. I think this year it'll be $12 billion in influencer spend. I think next year we'll probably hit $15 or $16 billion, and I only see that kind of increasing. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to chat about. The other questions I've been getting are like, how do you get the influencers to trust you? Like, how do you get these creators to like really be like, okay, like I'll accept a brand deal from you, or like, how do you make them think that you're legit? So my answer to that is very simple. It's obviously get a website, make a website, have your company set up your LLC, do all the kind of back end stuff that you got to do. And then also learn the terms and the verbiage that is very often used in the space. And I think we'll probably do a whole nother podcast where I kind of run you through like, the different, terms and stuff. So like things like CPM, cost per milli, CPA, the cost per acquisition, what is usage? What is exclusivity? How do you know, what terms are normal in a contract? Like, is 1 year usage enough, or should you be offering 5 years usage? Or if, the brand does want 5 years usage rights, how much should you be charging? Like, there's a lot of different kind of like nitty gritty aspects that go into, partnerships. But yeah, we'll do a whole separate podcast, I think, on that. But, yeah, in terms of building trust, again, have that website kind of set up a professional email. I remember when I started, I was I was pitching talent out from my USC email, and I was closing deals, but people were getting a little sketched out. They were like, why don't you have like a real company like website and shit? So definitely important when you're initially starting out. And then try and get the influencers on the phone. Like when I hit up Mike, obviously him being one of the larger creators in the space, I had to kind of figure out a unique way to kind of get in touch. So obviously the biggest reason he responded was because I came forth with value. I brought him a partnership. There was a significant amount of money that was actually being offered. So obviously that gave me kind of an advantage, but, making sure that your emails are concise, not making them too lengthy. I get a lot of inbound outreach that's coming my way from random people from all industries. And a lot of times I notice that it's like 6 paragraphs or 7 or like it's just super long, and it's like no one's gonna fucking read that shit, you know. So like be very concise, have it be 2 to 3 sentences, get to this, you know, straight to the point, and then also making like different contact points. So like, you know, a lot of times on Instagram, creators will have their phone numbers in their bio, so you could hit up their phone number, which I wouldn't really recommend. I would say keep it to email, but you know, depending on how confident you are and how, you know, how nice of a person or relatable you are, you know, you could just give them a call. But you know what I do is I'll usually hit them on Instagram, hit them on LinkedIn, hit them on email. So kind of contact them from 3 different points, and then kind of, you know, work the follow-ups. But follow-ups, you know, that's a whole different kind of conversation, which we should definitely have. Sorry guys, important call. But yeah, so that's kind of what I would say on that front. A lot of you guys have been asking on a whole separate note, like kind of where I see Division Media going. And it's pretty crazy because we've become one of the more prominent agencies in the space pretty quickly, you know, and a lot of the brands that we work with are some of the larger brands in the world, like Steve Madden, Gymshark, etc. So, you know, it's very interesting to kind of think about like where I think the business will go. I think with Web3 kind of becoming more prominent and the whole concept of the metaverse, I think where I see Division Media going is being kind of that leading influencer marketing agency that offers ad space in the metaverse. So what I mean by that, and a lot of people may not fathom or like understand what that means, but think of it like this: like, you know, you drive past the Grove and you see a billboard, right? It might be a billboard for fucking whatever, Fashion Nova. Now imagine the metaverse. There's hundreds of thousands of people sitting at home with VR goggles, may or may not be in a pod. I don't know exactly what the fuck it's going to look like, but you're at home with VR goggles and you have these little gloves on and you're walking down the street, but you're at home, but you're looking into the metaverse and you see that same billboard by the Grove. So brands will not only be able to advertise on billboards in the physical reality in life, but they'll also be able to purchase that billboard space in the metaverse. You know what I mean? So not only are they getting the actual traffic by the Grove, they're actually getting hundreds of thousands of people seeing it that are actually at home wearing their VR goggles. So I think we'll be the kind of first influencer agency that starts to offer ad space in the metaverse. Companies like Sandbox and Space are actually already developing the infrastructure of what the metaverse is going to be, along with, of course, Facebook/Meta. So it's going to be very interesting to see which brands kind of jump in early. I feel like I have an inclination of which brands are going to be kind of those the first hitters in Web3, but there's this whole untapped a whole untapped market of influencer marketing in this new generation of Web3. So it's very exciting to see. If you guys haven't listened to the previous podcast that we did, I think it was posted a couple of weeks ago, but we talked all about Web3 and crypto and NFTs, and kind of like where I see that whole world going. It's pretty crazy, man. I mean, if you understand the concept of Web3 and you understand crypto and the value and the utility of NFTs, I mean, there's so much fucking money that could be made. Like, to be honest, right? Like, for example, guys, I have a mutant ape, which I've talked about a lot. I think I bought it for like 5 ETH, and the floor is, I think, 16 ETH right now. And a lot of you guys have been like, yo, sell. And I know this has nothing to do with influencer marketing, but you guys are like, fucking sell it. Like, you'll make 11 ETH, bro. That's like 30 racks, like 40 racks. I'm like, you guys got to understand where this space is going. You know what I mean? There's only, I think the Mutant Ape Yacht Club has 17,000 NFTs. But, you know, consider a project like World of Women, which is the first female-founded NFT project, with the imagery being females, mostly black women. And there's only 10,000 of those in the world. Think about in 10 years when the metaverse becomes a real thing and you have major art collectors, whether it's in the metaverse or in real life, who are big fans of art, and they want you to bring your World of Women NFT or your Mutant Ape or your Bored Ape to their art show. And because they're having these massive investors there, they have hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to allocate for you to bring your art to the show. Think of it kind of like the Mona Lisa. You know, how much do you think it would cost if you wanted to have the Mona Lisa at one of your events or at one of your galleries? It's not going to be cheap. You know what I mean? So where I see this, the NFT stuff or space going is, I mean, people will pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for your NFT to be present at one of their fucking like art galleries or at one of their shows. Like that is where the space is going. Not to mention the fact that I think the floor price of projects like World of Women and Munich Yacht Club and Bored Ape Yacht Club is going to be hundreds of ETH, if not more. And I think Bored Ape and CryptoPunks are already past 80 ETH, if not more. So crazy stuff, man. If you guys have any questions on crypto, NFTs, or the influencer marketing space, definitely hit us up. I think I want to bring on maybe like one or two mentees, because mentorship for me has gone a long way, and it's definitely helped me build our company to a place that I never thought I'd be. And I do owe a lot to my mentor, so I want to bring on one or two people that I can kind of mentor and kind of help with whatever industry they're in, and kind of just provide value from that mentorship perspective. So if you guys are interested in that, hit up my assistant, Dominique at divisionmedia.co. And with that being said, that is a wrap. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for another podcast coming soon. Yeah, enjoy your week. Bye.